Hi everyone, I'm Mishka. Welcome back to my channel. In today's episode of Our Life Beginnings and Always, we are going to be doing, oh my god, I want to say steps so badly. Moment 5 of step 3. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends so then they can find out about my amazing channel just like you already know. So yeah, let's get into it. Hope you enjoy. Start! Okay, like being a lazy cat, you stretched your arms above your head and yawned, blinking your eyes sleepily. The day was warm and pleasant. You were lounging on the couch in the living room, finding it difficult to do much in that moment. Your moms and Liz had gone out shopping, looking for some new items for your sister to take back and decorate her cottage dorm with. They had asked if you wanted to go with them, but you declined. For you, today was all about relaxation. Cove had dropped by to spend some time with you, content to join in with doing nothing. The two of you had been chatting idly as you lazed around, talking about the other things you had planned for the summer. Oh. Oh my gosh, this is me if I mean, yeah, I am with someone, but this is me. I'm stretched out. I'm the type of person who can't sit still. You had your feet propped up on one of the armrests and used Cove as a comfy cushion beneath your head, totally settled in. This is totally what I do in real life. Cove gently wound his fingers through your hair as you rested on his legs, equally at ease. The day dragged on. You found yourself yawning more and more often between conversations. You had almost dozed off completely when suddenly a buzz rang out, disturbing the silence. Your phone was on its charger in the kitchen, so it couldn't have been that. Cove pulled his own phone from his back pocket and checked the screen. His movement had just told you, so you tried to readjust your position to get it right again. It's my mom. After leaning forward and setting the phone on the on the coffee table in front of him, Cove hit the speaker button. Hey, what's up? Mina's here too. Hi, Cove. Hello, Mina. Hi, Kira. Oh my gosh, she looks so pretty. Oh my god, just remember, we haven't seen her since step 2. Oh my god, Kira looks so grown up. No, Kira. Cove, baby, I wanted to ask if you all have a plan, for all your junk. Cove made a small, outraged grumble, but giving you a sidelong glance. That's not junk, it's important. Mm-hmm. Though you couldn't see it, you could tell by the sound of her voice that Kira was smiling. But is that a yes or no about the plan? He looked over at you, his mouth pulled into a tight smile. I'm still thinking about it. Mina, I'm gonna take the phone off speaker so me and my mom can go over this. It'll be quick. Okay. Cove carefully moved you off him and took the phone from the table before pushing himself to his feet. He hit the speaker button again to turn it off and continued the conversation with his mom as he headed towards the door. The lock clicked behind him as he exited the house, and you sank back into the cushions, idly trying to decide what to do next. After electing to grab your own phone from the charger, you resumed your position on the couch, tapping away at the screen. Your mind drifted away from thoughts of Cove and his phone call with all the many ways your device could distract you. It was an effective enough way to kill the time, and you had managed to do various little things when the door opened again and Cove returned. A small smile pulled at the corners of his lips as he shuffled over to the back of the couch. He reached down to give one of your shoulders a soft stroke of his hand. I'm back. You gaze, sir. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, just... Oh my god, Cove, what's wrong? He turned his head suddenly, running a hand through his hair and letting out an expectorated breath. He seemed nervous, but you couldn't imagine why. It's fine, not anything to worry about. You raised an eyebrow at his tone, moving your head to the side to try and meet his eye. That doesn't explain what's going on. He shrugged and gave you a tight smile, trying to play whatever it actually was off as unimportant. There's nothing going on, stuff I can deal with later, some other time. He was transparently avoiding the truth, and you stared back at him seriously, an indication that you weren't going to ignore what he was doing. Eventually he broke beneath your stare, hanging his head in his hand and groaning. I need to make another trip to my mom's place. There's some stuff out there that I'm gonna use, so I'll have to go pick it up. It wouldn't make sense to ship it. I couldn't bring the stuff back with me last time since I flew. Oh. Suddenly you understood what the phone conversation had been about. Cove was going to drive to his mom's house in Nevada. When will you go? Mom thinks it would be best to do it now while I'm still kind of free, but... Cove pouted, giving you an unhappy look, and you could see the prospect was already taking a toll on him. I don't want to. I was just there, and for even longer than usual. Why do I have to leave right now, when it's our last summer like this? You shook your head affectionately. He was always dramatic. I don't know what to do. Looking up again, you met his bright, awkward marine eyes, finding a sad smile tugging on his lips. Oh. Suddenly his eyebrows jumped and his eyes lit up like a lamp. You could come with me. Oh, what? What? Exactly. Exactly what I said. You should come with me. I mean, I get that the two of us live next door to each other. My mom lives in another state. My trips there are usually to spend time with her, just the two of us. But this time it won't be like that. All I'm going to do is drive over, stay for a night, and then pack up the car in the morning and turn around again. Most of the time will be spent in the car, so it'd be good to have another person there. Plus, you have the chance to see my mom again at her place. Maybe we could even find something cool to break at on the way. You couldn't stop yourself from laughing at his enthusiasm. He blushed a little, reining himself in. I just feel like it could be fun. Please, could you think about it? Aw, of course, Cove. I want to go. A road trip sounds fun. I have to let my oh my god. I'll have to let my oh my goodness, I cannot talk today. I'll have to let oh my god, that's like the third time I said moms! Okay. No, but as long as we got nothing else important on the days we picked, then there's no reason I wouldn't be able to go. He grinned from ear to ear, thrilled by the news.
So glad.
Oh my god, what is wrong with me? I'm so glad. This is so great. I'll call my mom back and let her know right now. You spent some time together going over your schedules and making plans for when you could take the trip. You needed to fit in around Cove's work schedule, which he brought up on his phone to double check. Luckily, it was only a 2-day trip, so finding a couple of free days in a row wasn't impossible. It wasn't long before the dates were finally set and all the plans were made. You were nervous. You couldn't exactly pinpoint why, but it was a big trip, and you and Cove would be together for a long time. No matter what you thought about things, the morning when you were due to leave arrived. It was cooler than usual, the sun barely peeking over the tops of the houses. You stood outside your house on the footpath near the road, waiting for Cove. You yawned loudly, covering your mouth with the back of your hand. Mornings were always a struggle. With your travel bag clutched in one hand, you watched as Cove finished packing up his car. He had organized all sorts of things, water bottles, snacks, and who knows what else. Cove insisted he had everything under control and didn't need help. At least you could rest easy, knowing that it was all taken care of. As you waited, you glanced over Cove's car. You knew it well. It used to belong to Mr. Holden, and when Cove had learned to drive, it passed to him. His dad had taken the opportunity to get a newer one. It was pretty old at this point, but had served both of them well so far. You just hoped it had enough life left in it to survive a trip as long as the one you were embarking on. The sound of the door closing made you jump. You snapped back to focus and saw Cove walking towards you. He dusted his hands off on his pants and tilted his head towards the car. That's it. Ready to go? Yeah, I'm ready. He smiled and stepped aside, giving you space to situate your bag or your own bag where you wanted it. Once everything was safely inside, he glanced back at you.
Right.
We should get started. It's going to be a ways to go. Okay. Oh, give him a high five! He returned it happily, chuckling your enthusiasm. Oh, God, I love these two. The two of you climbed into the car and buckled up, Cove in the driver's seat and you sitting shotgun. His eyes moved to you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming on this trip with me. Of course, it's no problem. After checking the mirrors and starting the engine, you pulled out of the driveway and the trip began. With a small sigh, you got cozy in your seat and watched the familiar houses in your neighborhood pass by. Cove reached over to turn on the radio. A crackle of static mixed with the odd snippets of song filled the car as they flipped through the stations. Mr. Holden's car was in good condition, but it was, well, older. There was no way to plug in a phone to play music, so the radio had to do. Eventually, he settled on top 40 station before sitting back and resting both hands on the wheel. Is this okay? Yeah, it works. I don't care. He smiled, happy with the answer. Time flew by, and with it, the scenery outside your window became more and more unfamiliar. You know that you smoked for a good long while, but the quiet was comfortable. You had become all too used to each other's company over the years. Eventually, Cove broke the silence, clearing his throat softly before he spoke. It's been too long since you and I have spent time with my mom. I know she still comes to the neighborhood sometimes, but it's not even once a year. I'm always going to hers. I'm happy the two of us are doing this. Yeah. But speaking of your moms and trips, remember the time she took us out on that crazy drive all across town? Oh my god. I remember that. He shook his head at the memory, his laughter clear and bright. I remember. I kept worrying about papers and shoes while you were having a blast. I wonder what I was thinking. That really was over the top. Yeah. Now I look back on it, kind of was, but it was fun. He smiled quietly to himself, clutching the wheel a little more confidently. With a crinkling of his brows, a look of nostalgia crossed over Cove's features. Mom always knew how to make things memorable. I can't deny that. Silence slowly crept back into the space, both of you thinking back on that night and all the memories you had of it. Your elbow resting on the windowsill, you gazed out at a world that was slowly coming to life as the morning rolled on by. The sun climbed higher in the sky, forcing you to adjust the visor overhead to keep it out of your eyes. Hey, do you mind reaching back for me? Cove gave you a sidelong glance as he drove, indicating with a nod of his head with a tidy smile. I want some chips, the salt and vinegar ones. Okay. The salt and vinegar? Oh my god, that's disgusting. I can't eat salt and vinegar. Oh, the onion ones? Uh-huh. And onion lays. Oh my god, they're heaven. Oh my god, I love them. And sun chips too? Uh-huh. He huffed impatiently, keeping his eyes on the road. I like them and want to eat them. You shouldn't have a problem with letting me since you don't even like it. Okay, Cove. Stretching out the seatbelt to give yourself space, you twisted in your spot and reached into the bag holding the snacks. It took a bit of effort to sort through the collection of goodies stuffed inside, but eventually the bag of chips crinkled beneath your fingers as you pulled them out and sank back in your seat. Here. Thanks. Do you mind opening it? His eyes lit up at the prospects of the snacks and he shook your head in amusement, popping the top of the bag. No, don't do that. No, pour a few in his hand. Cove held out one outstretched hand while trying to resist the urge to look at what he was getting. You did your best to have the chips fall into his palm, but some did end up on the floor. Oh, God. Thanks. After that, you rolled up the top of the bag and stowed the chips safely in the back again. When you turned to the front, it was to find Cove crushing the fistful of chips into his mouth, crunching loudly. He wiped his hand on his pants absent-mindedly before gripping the wheel and spilling crumbs all over the place. You're like a little kid. He snorted and pulled a hand from the wheel, once more to flick the salty residue from his fingers at you. With a gasp, you raised an arm to defend yourself. You shook your head at the mess of crumbs that fell from his mouth as he chuckled. Ew! See what I mean? The hours drifted by much the same as that, with the two of you snacking and chatting as the day stretched on. It was fairly calm and quiet, traveling along the open road, and you found little in the way of interruptions. At one point, you passed a "Welcome to Nevada" sign, and Cove gave a tiny cheer. He was in disbelief that the two of you were seriously all the way in another state like this. Eventually, you had to stop for gas and made a detour to a small diner to grab a proper meal that didn't consist of chips and candy. Good. After refueling both the car and your stomachs, the drive was back on, just as the sun began dipping beneath the horizon and bathing the sky in a wash of orange light. Cove informed you that there wasn't too much longer left to go. You were almost there. No, you took shifts. The route was fairly straightforward, and you had enough practice with driving to feel comfortable doing so. When night eventually fell in a blanket of darkness, the drive finally came to an end. Cove pulled into the parking lot of KYRAAAA's apartment building, the glow of the car lights disappearing as he turned off the engine and let out a heavy sigh. We made it. We're here. The two exchanged tired smiles, having successfully and safely completed one half of the trip. Whew! I feel like I'm tired. I mean, God, we're like not even in the middle of the moment or the episode yet. You're relieved to have actually arrived and eager to get out of the car and stretch your legs. You took the stairs up to the building together. After a knock, you were abruptly met by a flash of green hair as Kira opened the door and immediately took her sons in her arms. There he is, my gigantic baby boy. She squeezed him for a moment and then pulled back so she could examine his face. Are you even taller than the last time I saw you? Cove gave her a fond look as she patted the tops of his shoulders proudly. You say that every time I'm here. It doesn't even make sense right now. My last visit wasn't that long ago. Kira simply laughed before letting him go and ushering the two into her apartment. Then she turned to you, a wide grin pulling at her lips. Mina, it's so nice you came along with, and as a bonus, you both arrived in one piece. Yeah, it's good to see you. It's been a long time. I know! Kira looks so pretty! What? It's been so long since I talked to Kira. Oh my god, thank you for bringing back memories. Kira beamed at you both, and while you would love nothing more than to settle down and rest after the drive, you could see she wasn't going to let you go that easily. So how was the trip? I admit, I was just a pinch worried. We barely made it. Cove gave you a dry look, a small smile tilting his lips. We handled it just fine. Kira clapped her hands together, the bracelets around her wrists jingling. I'm so proud. I can hardly believe how mature you both are. Where did all those smarts come from? Cove ran a hand over his hair with an awkward chuckle. I don't know, maybe I got some from my parents. His mom looked up at him deeply, her eyes glistening as she shook the sentimentality off with a wave of her hand. You have to be half asleep already, huh? I don't want to keep you up much longer. Early morning and any woozies. How do you want to deal with the sleeping arrangements? I've only got my own room in Cove, so the living room couch isn't bad. Mina can use my bed. I'll just sleep on the floor in the room. It doesn't matter for one night. No, you're sleeping in the bed and I'm sleeping on the couch. Kira laughed out loud, startling you both. You raised an eyebrow at her outburst, giving her a quizzical look. Oh yeah, you'll just stay on the floor. You can't handle that much back when you were 13 with both parents in the room. Oh god. Cove blushed a dark red and gaped, completely unprepared for her to pull out that embarrassing moment from the past. Mom! You laughed it off. Thankfully, the tension in the air dissipated as Kira and Cove chuckled along with you. Oh my god, I love these two. No, we're sleeping on the couch in the living room. Cove shook his head, dismissing the idea immediately. You're the guest. Oh! I don't want to take your bed. Well, I still don't want to take it from you, and I said it first. The two of you narrowed your eyes at each other stubbornly. God. Kira took that as her cue to step in. My house, my rules then, and you know who I decide with. I liked you to take the bed, Mina. You hesitated a moment, but it seemed like you had to accept the hospitality. With a small sigh, you gave in. Alright. Cool. So, would you be okay with me sleeping on the floor in the room? I'd rather be there than out in the open in the living room, even if there is a couch. Yeah, you can sleep there. Kira giggled softly, drawing your attention back to her. All funny stuff aside, you need to get some sleep for tomorrow. Seems like you're setting yourselves up not get any. I know that sounds really captious, but I'm a mom. I have to say these things. Come on, we're not little kids having a sleepover. We're responsible adults, right, Mina? Oh my god. Oh, maybe we should. No, we're not. Oh my god. Cove cleared his throat and gave you a look that had you biting down your lip, trying to hide your smile. I'll leave it at that then for now. Just remember that the laws are thin in this apartment. Oh my god! If you can't settle down and sleep, I might have to sub for you. We'll be perfect. Kira claps her hands together, the bracelets softly tinkling against each other again. It's only getting later, so I better let you prepare for bed. She nodded towards the hallway and gave you a small smile. I'll play hostess for a second, show you where the bathroom is first, Mina, and where you'll be staying the night. Thank you. I'm guessing she lives in an apartment. In an apartment. I just said in apartment. What the heck? You hosted your travel bag back over your shoulder and followed behind Kira and down the hallway. Cove shuffled along behind you, disappearing into the bedroom while his mom had you go to the restroom. The apartment was small but nicely decorated in soft, cool colors with plenty of artwork hanging on the walls to give it character. It was stylish and exactly what you would have expected from someone like KYRAAAAA. After being shown the bathroom and wishing KYRAAAAA good night, you headed into the room and found Cove already there. He had changed into a sleepwear for the night as well. Looking around, you found the bedroom to look much the same as the rest of the apartment, but with small ocean elements you were sure Cove must have enjoyed when he stayed here. All in all, the room was pretty clean, though it almost looked more like a hotel guest room than a bedroom. Cove only spent a few weeks out of the year there, so it made sense that it wasn't especially lived in.
So?
What do you think? It's pretty nice, huh? Mom always keeps it clean and everything, even when I'm not here. That's sweet of her. Yeah, she's good like that. He seemed pleased enough with the response and gave you a small smile before opening the zip on his bag. God. When you went back to the room, you jumped in bed and under the covers, just as Cove was shuffling to his sleeping bag on the floor. Oh my god, it's just so pretty. I don't know why. This game it's just so pretty. It's amazing. You waited until he was settled in before you flipped off the lights, and a soft glow from outside peeked through the blind, casting shadows over the floor. You closed your eyes, blocking everything out. Night, Mina. Night, Cove. Sleep well. The room grew quiet as the two of you wound down for the night, and you found yourself listening to the sounds of the city outside the window. The noise out there was so different to what you were used to back home. Cars zooming past and people out having fun, instead of crashing waves and the ocean winds cocooning your house in their embrace. This feels familiar, don't you think? We've been having sleepovers for years. Cove mumbled quietly and rustled in his bedding, turning to face towards your location. Right? It feels like I've had this view so many times. Looking up over at you tucked into bed. He trailed off a little and you assumed he was drifting off to sleep, too tired to continue the conversation. What? But then, as if a switch had been hit, he sprung up, startling you as he shot upright in his sleeping bag. Wait a minute! Why am I always on the floor? What? You raised your eyebrows at him through the dark. The times I slept over at your house, you got to stay in your bed. It was your bed after all. But when it was my family hosting things, Dad always makes sure you got a bed there. The words spilled, oh my god, out of him faster and faster, the pitch of his voice rising as the revelation spiraled. He'd said that you were the guest, so it was only right. No matter what, I've always been the one who takes the floor, every time. This is a racket! You burst out laughing. How is that only hitting you now? Don't ask me questions, my life is crumbling. Oh my god, you're so dramatic. I can't believe this has been going on for 10 years. He stopped selling. You could see through the limited light that his eyebrows were angled in disbelief, his frown wobbly in shock. That's how it is in my family. My moms have always thought that it was more fun and comfortable for their guests to use their own sleeping things rather than a stranger's bed. And in my family, the guest gets the bed because it's good to make sure your guest has a proper place to sleep. We were opposites all along, but I never even thought about it. When it looked like the situation was going to stall there, Cove sighed suddenly, his shoulder slumping into a sleep-adlaid defeat. I don't know. Forget it. It's too late to take back all those nights on the floor. At least I can think of myself as being really considerate. He sounded resigned to his fate, but despite looking on the bright side, he was still pouting. Quit being a baby! You went over to her. Aw, go over to him. Slipping out of bed, you kneeled down on the floor beside him, though he promptly turned away from you and continued moping. You kissed his cheek. Thinking of nothing else to do, you leaned him and gave him a soft peck, earning a grumble in response. However, you didn't miss the blush that spread across his cheeks and stained his skin. I really do appreciate what you do for me. He made a sound of acknowledgement. You took that as a good sign. With a slight smile, he gave you a playful nudge to go back to bed, which, with a small sense of satisfaction, you did. With a tired sigh, he flopped back down. I can make do with the floor for old time's sake. Some real humor came back to his tone. It's basically a tradition by now. Why don't we share? What? Are you really sure you don't want the bed? You dropped the top. Why don't we share? What? Do that. It's big enough, is it? Cove inhaled deeply, the fabric of his sleeping bag crinkling loudly as he fidgeted beneath the... I told my mom I was going to stay on the floor. Oh, look at him! He's blushing! He frowned, wondering when that had ever stopped him before. Yeah. Did you really plan on going through with that? No. You hesitated a little, the silence stretching between you. You couldn't help but smile to yourself. You knew him well. The sleeping bag rustled again, and through the dim light, you saw him stand and head towards the bed. Oh my god, are y'all serious? He took in a deep breath as he ran his hands across the top of the blanket, gathering his nerves as his eyes met yours. And then he paused, head tilted to the side as if silently asking permission. It's alright. Oh, Cove! You shuffled over to make room for him as he pulled the bedding up and crawled beneath the covers, leaving the two close together but not quite touching. Girl, I thought this was a joke. No! He exhaled a heavy breath as he lay down on his side, his head getting comfy on the pillow next to yours. You had a strange feeling in your stomach, like it was doing little somersaults, but it felt good to have him close. He raised his fingers and delicately brushed the tips over your cheeks, drawing a shaky sigh from your lips. His touch was warm and feather-light, making you feel tingly all over. When his eyes met yours again, you found yourself lost in them, the world becoming still and silent around you. What? Then he froze, his muscles tensing as he closed up like a clam and his breath hitched in his throat. He attempted to whisper something, but it was completely lost on you. Oh god, no! Without having the slightest sense of warning, Cove jumped out of the bed and crouched down on the floor, his head held in his hands as he took in a few deep, stuttering breaths. Oh god. Are you okay? You bolted upright in the bed, staring down at him with a mixture of alarm and bemusement. Are you okay? I thought it felt like it did before when we were younger, but it's different now. I'm sorry, Mina. Really sorry. I'm just so... He panted deeply in and out, as though he had just finished running an entire marathon. I'm sorry. After finally steadying his breath to a more normal rhythm, he crawled back into his sleeping bag and huddled down on the floor, his back turned to you. Sorry. It's okay, Cove! You understood! He usually needed at least one trial run before he could take that kind of step forward. You don't need to apologize. He made a small noise, acknowledging that he had heard you, but said no more. With the event over, he laid back down in bed alone for the night. The next day dawned, bringing it with the sounds of the birds chirping happily outside the window. You opened your eyes slowly, letting them adjust to the light as you tried to recall where you were, remembering the unfamiliar sight of Cove's second bedroom. Cove has nudged you to wake. Rise and shine, Mina. Cove shook your shoulder and you groaned dramatically and buried your head beneath your pillow. 5 more minutes. Oh my god, that's so me. No way, we've gotta get started. Sitting up in bed, you let out a yawn and stretched your arms above your head. You felt okay. Considering the long drive the day before and the late night, you were feeling ready to get the day started. Though you weren't as perky as him, his energy was infectious. Good morning. You pulled yourself out of bed, grabbing a fresh change of clothes and your toiletries before heading to the bathroom. After all of that, you met Cove back in his room. He was sitting on the floor when you entered, sorting through a bunch of stuff in a box, determining what to bring and what to leave behind. Hey. Hey, can you pull out the stuff in the drawers? You nodded, though he hadn't even looked up from his task, so you knew he wouldn't have seen. Heading over to his drawers, you started the task of taking various items and setting them on the ground in front of Cove. After a while, it became clear that Cove was acting strange whenever you went near him. Excuse me? He was flinching over your presence. It happened a few more times before you couldn't take the awkwardness any longer. You dropped the stuff you were holding down in front of him and raised a crest-sending eyebrow. Is everything okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry about last night, again. He quietly squeaked the second part of his thought, about not staying in the bed with you. I know you try not to mind or be mad at me, but I wish I didn't have to make you accept me backtracking you all the time. He swallowed thickly, struggling to find the right words to explain himself. I do think it felt nice, really. Really. It's just also not bad, but good in an inconvenient way.
I mean...
Laying like that together. Being so close, it gets too hot, you know? His cheeks flushed with color and he immediately trailed off, his eyes firmly fixed on the floor. Oh my god, that's so mean. That's so mean. I'm sorry to bother you. He let out a fractured chuckle.
It's okay.
You didn't. Please don't say you're sorry for that. You were perfect. And if you're gonna feel bad too, then how about we both let ourselves feel alright about it instead? I'd like that. Cool, let's get back to packing. With it more or less resolved, you went to grab some more items as Cove focused on the box in front of him once again. Oh hey, look at this. When you turned towards the sound of Cove's voice, you found him digging through one of the drawers beneath the bed.
Neat.
Here's something I definitely need to bring. Neat. Craning your head, you got a better glimpse of what he was holding. A small stack of papers. You immediately recognized the handwriting as your own. Oh, he kept them! Those were letters you had sent him when he was away. He kept them the whole time. Of course you should take them. I'd be hurt if you didn't. A small smile pulled at your lips as you thought back on when you had mailed your gift to Cove. I put a lot of thought into that present, you know.
It's nice.
These are special. It was important having a piece of you with me when we were apart. I feel the same way. That's why I gave them to you. Cove smiled, pleased that the feeling was mutual, but then the expression became more amused. And did you keep the souvenirs it brought back? No. He shook his head with a grin. Thanks. Another hour passed by in silence, and you were happy to see you were making great progress with Cove's room, with only the closet left to sort through. Okay. You took a moment to take a mouthful of water from your bottle and perched on the edge of your bed feeling productive. Cove glanced over at you and paused, putting down the tape gun he had been using to seal up his boxes. You raised an eyebrow. You know, it's really strange to see you sitting in this room. Why? He frowned a little. His eyes distant, his voice spoke. Oh my god, his voice quiet when he spoke next. During the visits to Mom's, when I was sitting alone in this room, I'd sometimes think about how you weren't here. It was a weird feeling at the time, that you just weren't around. And now that you are here, in this exact place, I don't know how to explain the feeling. He shrugged it off and smiled a little, as though he had said enough already and didn't want to risk sounding silly. Life is pretty confusing is all. I missed you so much when you were gone. His brows crinkled as he looked at you solemnly, his eyes bright with emotion. I miss you too, all the time. It made you feel better to know that somehow. To know that when you were stuck at home missing his company, that he was missing yours too. Okay, everyone, this is where I'm gonna end today's episode. I think we have gotten to a point with Cove where we're now starting to want to share a bed together. And it didn't quite work out this time, but I don't know, maybe sometime in the future we will. Yeah, but lastly, yours, gentlemen, thank you for watching. A wonderful day, everyone. Bye!